Alright guys, what's going on? Brian here, and this is my recap of what happened on tonight's debut episode of AEW Dynamite on TNT. Um, I watched that show. I did not watch NXT. I did not watch NXT, but I happened to catch after AEW was over. I flipped over to um, NXT, the last couple of minutes of NXT, where the Undisputed Era's Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish retained their NXT Tag Team Championships over the Street Profits. Then, with the help of Roderick Strong, uh, then on the ramp, apparently Finn Balor made his return to NXT and is looking to go after Adam Cole for the NXT Championship. That apparently happened earlier in the show. And then to end the show, they had a stare down with Tommaso Ciampa and Adam Cole, the current NXT champion. Ciampa, of course, had to relinquish that championship a few months ago due to injury, but now he's back and he's looking to eye the NXT championship once again. But that was on NXT. But I'm here to talk about tonight's debut episode of AEW Dynamite on TNT. I watched the full show, so let's just get right into it. Of course, the build-up to their next pay-per-view, Full Gear, has begun. We had, overall, my thought on the show for Dynamite tonight on for AEW. I thought it was a really good first episode. A couple of good matches, a lot of build-up, a very surprising main event as far as ending the show is concerned. Let's just get right into it. It's not wasting more time. We opened up the show with Cody taking on Sammy Guevara. This one I thought was a really good match. Guevara I thought really gave it his all. One of the turning points in the match was when Sammy was on the outside. Cody was going to do a dive through the ropes. He hit the dive, but Sammy pulled Cody's wife, Brandy, in the way, and she got hit as well. And that's what kind of almost cost Cody the match. But Brandy helped Cody pin Guevara by hitting him when he was laying across the middle rope. She hit him with her shoe, but that was not enough. But then Sammy would go for a shooting star press. Cody would get the knees up, and then a small package Sammy Guevara for the victory in what I thought was a really good match. Afterwards, Tony Schiavone, who was one of the commentators for this show, who was a part of the commentary team with Jim Ross and Excalibur, he would try to get an interview with Cody to talk about not only the victory tonight, but coming up November 9th, Cody has a huge AEW world title shot coming up against champion Chris Jericho. But Sammy Guevara would interrupt that. They would shake hands, not realizing that this was basically a ploy to distract Cody to allow Chris Jericho, the current AEW World Champion, to attack from behind. And Jericho mainly beat up Cody, and that was pretty much it. So obviously that's putting heat on this matchup coming up on November 9th between those two. Another thing, one of the segments that they had during the show was with SCU, SoCal Uncensored, and the Lucha Bros. SCU talking about how they're the greatest tag team. Lucha Bros took exception to that. They got into a brawl on the ramp. Pretty nothing much. I mean, both teams are going to be involved in the AEW World Tag Title Tournament that will start next week. That was really probably just to set up those two for maybe a future feud as far as both teams are concerned. The second match involved Brandon Cutler taking on MJF. MJF won this one with an armbar. Basically, Brandon made the mistake of going up to the top rope. He would fall off the top rope and tweaked his knee a little bit, and that was pretty much it. MJF capitalized on that, locking in the armbar and winning. Let's see what else. We saw Hangman Page take on Pac. This one I thought was really good as well. Both men looking to get victories here. Of course, Pac looking to build upon his victory from All Out, where he defeated Kenny Omega. And then, of course, Hangman Page looking to bounce back from his loss to Chris Jericho at All Out to crown the first ever AEW World Champion. I thought both guys really did a good job in this one. I'm not going to hate on this matchup. Of course, there has been that animosity between these two that has been building for a while, even before All Out, and even going back even before that from Double or Nothing, where they were supposed to fight. But good match. Pac picked up the win with the Brutalizer after hitting the Black Arrow, after hitting the low blow. So that was pretty much it for that. They did a rundown of some of the matches that are going to be taking place at Full Gear, like Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega, and of course Cody challenging Chris Jericho for the AEW World Championship on November 9th. We saw the crowning of the first ever AEW Women's World Champion. Sorry about that, guys. As it was Nyla Rose taking on Riho. Pretty much this was like a David versus Goliath matchup for the women. Nyla Rose had the weight advantage, the strength advantage. Riho had the speed and agility. There was one point near the end of the match where Nyla was gonna basically flatten Riho on a bunch of chairs outside the ring, but that did not happen. She looked to hit the like a cannonball senton off the apron to Riho, but Riho got out of the way, and then it was basically what happened. To make a long story short, they would end up back inside the ring with Riho getting the advantage, hitting the double knees to the face of Nyla and pinning her 1, 2, 3. Afterwards, the Japanese one of the Japanese announcers was coming in to interview Riho about her big win, and her big title win, I should say, being the first ever AEW Women's World Champion, or Women's Champion. But Nyla would have nothing of it. She would attack the guy and then would look to go after Riho, but Kenny Omega, who apparently has been training Riho for this matchup, came to her rescue, and that was pretty much it. So that was pretty much it for that one. So Riho is the first ever AEW Women's Champion, so big congratulations goes out to her. The main event was supposed to be a 6-man tag team match. It was at the beginning. It was the Elite, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks taking on AEW World Champion Chris Jericho and his tag team partners Santana and Ortiz, the former LAX. I said this was supposed to be I said this was going to be a six-man tag. It started out at the beginning being a six-man tag, but then Jon Moxley would come out and go after Kenny Omega. They would end up brawling all the way back to the VIP room, where Moxley would hit his finishing move on Omega through a glass table that was set up in the VIP room, so that took Omega out of the match. Then it was basically a handicap match, a 3-on-2 handicap match with Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz picking up the win over the Young Bucks. They would then beat down the Bucks after the match was over. Cody, who had been attacked by Jericho earlier in the night, he came out to make the save. Then Sammy Guevara would come out and go after and hit a low blow on Cody. And then all of them would beat them down again. Then Dustin would come out to make the save. Then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the undefeated MMA fighter, Jake Hager, formerly known as Jack Swagger in the WWE, he would come out of nowhere and go after Dustin. Basically, the heels wound up beating down the Bucks, Cody, and Dustin, leaving them laying, and basically this was the ending of the show with with Jericho, Hager, Sammy Guevara, and Santana and Ortiz standing tall and standing over the Young Bucks, Cody, and Dustin. Sorry about that, guys. So pretty much that was pretty much the ending of the show. I thought on the show, I thought it was a really good show, really good first episode. Hopefully they can build on to this. They can continue building from this. Really nothing else to say about it. Really nothing else that happened. Of course, the thing with Moxley and Omega, that really gives their match at Full Gear some momentum. The thing with Jericho and Cody going into their world title match, that's going to continue. But yeah, overall, I thought the first episode of AEW Dynamite was great. I thought it was a good show. Hopefully, we'll see what it gets in the ratings. Hopefully, it gets a good, as far as good viewership. But we'll have to wait and see. But overall, I thought it was a really good show, really good first episode. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next week. So with that being said, this has been my recap of AEW's AEW Dynamite debut episode on TNT. If you guys watched it, let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments below. As always, I am Brian, and thank you for watching.